Guys, welcome to the first video in a series of video that covers the material we'll be learning this year in anatomy and physiology. So these videos began as a result of COVID when my students were trying to learn at home. And so I would record the direct instruction and we'd have them watch that at home and we'd talk about it when they got back to school. So just continuing on that, I'm filling in all the gaps and hope to have the full curriculum available from beginning to end. The benefit to you, hopefully when you're watching this, COVID's long gone and part of ancient history, but if you're out of school, if you have a vacation, if you are lost on a topic, you can go back to the videos or you can watch the videos in the event of an absence. So this first video, I kind of want to just introduce you to the course. The videos are designed, you'll get packets. We do 3 chapters every 9 weeks. And so you'll have 12 packets. This is the first packet. And in each of these packets is a very general note structure. So these aren't like guided notes where you have a sentence and you fill in a word. It's just a lot of the times it's instances where we'll have like diagrams because I can't draw. You'll learn that very quickly. And then as we go over topics, we'll have a list of topics that we're going to cover. So for example, in this first video, I want to talk about why we study what we study in anatomy and just talk about what anatomy, physiology, and pathology mean. So you'll have this page in your note packet, and then you can just fill in the notes as you go with the video. So anatomy, to best understand why we study what we do in anatomy, let's go back to levels of organization. You learned this in biology class. So any biology class worth its salt, you're going to start off with atoms as the smallest level of something that's organized, and you're going to go all the way up to organism. So what comes in between? Well, pause the video and see if you can remember what the levels are. Pause the video and then we'll come back. Okay, after atoms, did you say the next level is molecules? And then after molecules, did you have macromolecules? These were, if you remember, the other thing I like to do is I like to switch colors, kind of just keep things interesting. So these were carbs, lipids, nucleic acids, and proteins. So those were our macromolecules. And in each of these levels, we say it's a combination of the level before. So an atom is the smallest, most basic piece of matter. We have 118 different types of atoms. You can see them on the periodic table once that's up in the classroom. A molecule is 2 or more atoms chemically bonded. And we have macromolecules. They have very, very large molecules. So here we might have like 2, 3, 4 atoms. Here we might have hundreds to thousands. After macromolecules, we have organelles. These are things like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes. After organelles, we get to cells. Cell, this is where things begin to change because this is where life begins. So with cells, I don't know why my camera is getting darker and lighter there. This is the origin of life. So you can have a single cell that's alive. If we take 2 or more cells together, we get tissues. If we put 2 or more tissues together, I'm going to kind of do a route here. I'm going to run out of room. We get an organ. If we have 2 or more organs together, we get an organ system. And then if you put all the organ systems together for inside of one living thing, you have an organism. So biology tackles, actually, if we go back here, chemistry lives here. Biology lives here, macromolecules up through cells, and we get overlap between. So if you take biochemistry, you're doing a lot with macromolecules. When we move from biology into the tissue organ system, now we're talking about anatomy and physiology. And then finally, if you're talking about the whole organism, you can go back into a lot of times biology and communities, so you get back to biology. But there are 11 different organ systems, and that's kind of what we focus on with biology. So there's 11 of these. So organ system and body system are the same thing. How many can you name? And hint, you've got a little assist here in your diagram. So the diagrams kind of help you out. You pause the video and come back. Okay, how many did you get? Welcome back. Did you say skeletal? So this picture here represents the skeletal system. This is going to be the nervous. Here we have the, I'm going to try to change my lighting. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see if it's going to still change. Looks like it's a little more stable. This one is cardiovascular. We're talking about the heart and all of the vessels. Respiratory, the lungs and all of the associated airways. Digestive. This is the muscular system. It's MUSCU, looks like an E. In addition to these, you also have the urinary. There is the integumentary. That's the skin. There is the reproductive. Endocrine. And the immune system. So which ones are we going to talk about this year? Well, I'm going to use orange to put a check mark next to each of the chapters we're going to do. So the first chapter we're going to do here is our introduction chapter, where we get all of the basic vocabulary that you need for the year. And then we go into tissues, and we do 2 chapters on tissues. So we get tissues times 2. Skeletal, we do 2. Muscular, we do 2. So we do, the name of this course is Anatomy and Physiology. And in a minute, we're going to talk about the difference between anatomy and physiology. But we do a physiology chapter for skeletal, and we do anatomy chapter for skeletal. We do a physiology chapter for muscular, and we do a anatomy chapter for muscular. We'll do the digestive. We will do integument. We will do nervous times 2. In this case, 1 chapter is the brain and 1 chapter is physiology. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then our last chapter, we try to squeeze in cardiovascular, but sometimes we just run out of room. Respiratory, reproductive, and urinary kind of get left by the by. We don't really get to tackle those. We run out of time. And we'll do 1 page of endocrine in this intro chapter, and we'll do 1 page of lymphatic or immune in this chapter. So just because endocrine comes back around again and again, I feel like we need to kind of touch on that. So we are going to do 1 page for this and 1 page for this. And you can, if you look in your packet, you can see the last page is endocrine and the second to last page says lymphatic, which is just touching on the immune system. Okay, so we talked about the fact that with muscular and skeletal and nervous, we're going to do a chapter of anatomy and a chapter of physiology. So what's the difference? You're going to be having a quiz every week, so you will get, let's see, we'll do this, physiology. You'll get 10 to 15 new words every week. And every week that we don't have a chapter test, you'll have a midterm quiz. And on that midterm quiz, what you'll do is you will have to give me the definitions either in Latin or in English for Latin terms. Everything in biology and anatomy is Latin-based. In fact, sciences are just Latin-based, but nowhere is that more true than with the life sciences. So we have Anna is the first word and Tomi is the second. And over here we have physio is the first word and logi is the second. Let's start here because I bet you know what logi is because you've heard of biology, you've heard of cardiology, you've heard of a lot of words that have logi. Logi means the study of. Physio is a function. So when we do physiology of the muscular system, we look at the cellular level. How do the individual muscle cells contract? What's the process that they go through that allows them to contract? When we do anatomy, we're memorizing the muscles, we're memorizing where they're at. In anatomy of the skeletal system, we're memorizing the bones, bumps on the bones, the divots in the bones. But the definition of anatomy doesn't really correlate to learning the parts. Tomy is to cut. So if you have an appendectomy, you have your appendix removed. Or if you have a cholecystectomy, you have your gallbladder removed. And ana is the prefix for up. So early on, the people who were studying the body were called anatomists because they would cut up the body. And so anatomy followed from the name here. Doesn't necessarily mean parts of the body. But what we see is, so if you were going to learn about a car, you would have to, before you can learn how the gas enters the chamber and explodes and pushes the piston, and that causes the drive shaft to move. I don't know, I'm not a car. I hope I said that correctly. I'm not really a car person. Before you do that, you have to learn where the engine is, what's an engine block, where are the engine seals, are there pipes coming out of the engine, and what are they? So here we're memorizing the pieces, and here we're learning how those pieces work together to get something done. The third part to anatomy and physiology is pathology. So again, we have study of. So you see a study of here, logi. But patho is disease. So in addition to learning the parts and learning how they work together, we're also going to look at how does disease affect the body and what are the diseases of a specific body system. So, you know, if we're in nervous system, we'll talk about multiple sclerosis. If we're in digestive, we'll talk about Crohn's disease or something that would be similar. So just to give you an idea too, each chapter is going to have 7 to 9 videos in it. These first few videos are going to be relatively short. Most of the videos range around the 10-minute mark. And it's pretty much a one-to-one for what we'll do in class. So if you're out of class and you were at the fair, a lot of students are gone for the first few days, or several students are gone because they're working at the fair. What you just got in this video is very similar to what we talked about in class. Of course, we'll add in some more discussion and whatnot. But that is our first video that gives you an overview of the class and what we'll be studying in anatomy and physiology. So off we go. Thanks for watching, and see you later.